Welcome to HomeFront Sitrep. I hope you're in for a great show today, because I'm just a veteran talking about what's on my mind and maybe yours.
You can find HomeFront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You can also check out HomeFront Sitrep's YouTube channel.
Buckle up, the show is starting.
Out on the edge of the battle and back, we've carried the weight and we've walked every track. From desert dust to the fire at home, we've learned how to fight, how to stand alone. But no one tells you what comes after the war, when silence is louder than the guns we bore. That's where we speak, that's where we heal, stories too real for Hollywood reels. Welcome to the front lines you don't always see, we're warriors to battle just differently. This is our check-in, our voice, our step. This is the HomeFront Sitrep podcast. For the fallen, the fighting, and those who came home. For the brothers and sisters who still feel alone. We're holding the line with truth and respect. This is the HomeFront Sitrep podcast. For the fallen, the fighting, and those who came home. For the brothers and sisters who still feel alone. We're holding the line with truth and respect. This is the HomeFront Sitrep podcast. It ain't all medals and waving flags. There's pain in the silence and weight in the bags. But we've got a mic and a mission to share, to tell the damn truth, cause somebody's gotta care. We laugh, we cry, we cuss, we pray. We honor the ones who ain't here today. From basic to battle and back to the block. This is our rhythm, our round table talk. Welcome to the front lines you don't always see. We're warriors to battle just differently. This is our check-in, our voice, our step. This is the HomeFront Sitrep podcast. Still heavy in dreams out of reach, full of lessons the textbooks could never teach. We're sounding off, no filter, no prep. This is the HomeFront Sitrep podcast. So if you've worn the boots or love someone who did, if you swallowed your hurt and kept it all hid, pull up a chair, you're not alone. Welcome to the front lines you don't always see, where courage meets scars and raw honesty. This is our anthem, our truth intercept. This is the HomeFront Sitrep podcast. For the ones still standing and those we've lost yet, for every single story we'll never forget. We speak so others won't forget. This is the HomeFront Sitrep podcast. Real talk, real facts, real life. HomeFront Sitrep podcast, where the mission continues.
Welcome, everybody, to a Monday edition of HomeFront Sitrep. How is everybody doing? Gunny, how are you, sir? And welcome back.
Yeah, man, thanks. Rested. I will say that. Rested.
Bro, you've been busy.
Hey, I told you, man. Football
Yeah.
season.
Football
season.
I love football season.
The boys of fall, that crisp in the air, and you're not going to see me very much.
I know, right?
Yeah, man. No, it's been great, man. We kicked off last weekend at Indiana University. We got to reintroduce the mascot. The mascot did a skydive into the stadium, which was really, really cool for the students and the faculty and everybody involved out there at IU. And then, this past weekend took off to Kansas State. We've tried there a couple times and been weathered out each time. High winds. It gets crazy out there, man. But great performance. They were playing Army. Army came back and put on a heck of a show towards the end of that game and ended up pulling out the W. But no, great energy from the students when the flag deployed, when the guys landed in the stadium. Dude, it was freaking amazing.
That's phenomenal.
Absolutely phenomenal. But, on the way out there, I made a couple detours. Scott Air Force Base was on the way, so we swung through there and it was our fuel stop. So we just got fuel and then to kill time, as one of our other jumpers was getting in a little bit later into Kansas City, we went to Leavenworth. And dude, so much history.
Oh yeah,
at Fort Leavenworth. You look around and we saw these busts and monuments in this one section by a pond, and it was all like paying homage to the Buffalo Soldiers because they got started out there at Leavenworth, and then other prominent um, Black Army veterans. The lady that helped carry the mail and forward the mail process through World War One, World War Two. I can't remember which one it was.
That was 668, right? Or
Yeah,
8886, something like that. One of
yeah.
the, I forget. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that was, I mean, they had a monument for them and all the ladies that were, the WACs that did the mail service during that period of time was, I mean, it's pretty neat and just the backdrop. And then of course you got the detention barracks, the old detention barracks. And it's funny, you pull up and you get a FedEx sign and arts and crafts and you're looking at it and it says USDB, right? And then you go around the back side of it and you can drive into the yard through the big steel gate, and then you're sitting there and you're like, man, the people that have come through that, right? Or it's like, I wonder how many people got stabbed in this spot, what I mean?
Right.
And then of course they got the new detention barracks way on the backside, out past the airstrip and stuff like that. But dude, just so much history right there at that base. And I'm not an Army dude, and even when we were on Lejeune, I never went and looked at the things, right? All the things of history that are around Lejeune. We obviously, being part of 8th Marines, we always went out to do the Beirut thing in October, because 1-8 was part of the bombing. They were there when the bombing happened. So, we know about that. But now I just go and I just look at the history that's around the base. And then, man, we had, of course, from, you check out the hotel at 11. Our show was at 6:00 in the evening. It's like, man, what else is there to do? And Fort Riley is right there in the backyard of Manhattan, Kansas. So we went over to Fort Riley, and that's the home of the Big Red One. Like the entire division is there. And I mean, there's so much history there too, just with that unit in itself. And, going to look at some of the half tracks and APCs and some of the other things that they have kind of retired on base as static displays, and, the airfield, and, they've got Chinooks and Blackhawks and Apaches and everything. And they did the flyover, which was cool because our guys were in the air, in the plane at altitude. And here comes the flyover underneath them, so it's like, man, that's pretty neat to see. I wish we would have been out, because that would have been great footage from the GoPro and cameras of getting the big American flag and everything. But yeah, dude, great. I mean, a great week. And then obviously this week, yesterday after a 9-hour drive and everything else that went on, I just needed to decompress a little bit. So I got some rest last night, today, and back out the door Wednesday. Got a show in Columbus, Ohio. And then before the sun comes up on Thursday, out the door to New Jersey. So yeah, it's going to be busy week.
Busy.
I see Rich in the comments there. Man, he's like, hey, if you can send me some pics of the jumpers entering the stadium, I'll be the hero in the house. And not only did I send them from my perspective, we pulled some screen grabs from the jumper point of view.
Nice.
So we've got some screen grabs of the American flag with the stadium below it, or the guy on the ground with the flag coming in. Yeah. So hopefully everybody in the LaMonica household is happy with those photos. Like I see Rich is.
He said thanks for the awesome pics. So
Yeah.
I'm assuming you made him the hero in the LaMonica house. So I'm glad to see Rich is up in here with the Misfit Nation. If you haven't checked out Misfit Nation, go follow them on all social media platforms. Another amazing veteran podcast. Man, I tell you what, man, this week, all right, so opening week of football, my daughter came home from EKU. We got to go to the U of L EKU game, which is the season opener for U of L. And I told my daughter, I was like, I'm wearing U of L stuff. I'm not wearing EKU stuff. And she looked at me like I just killed her puppy or something. I'm like, look, I'm a Cardinal fan. I ain't no EKU fan. But the wife did buy season tickets to go to EKU games, so we can go up there and visit my daughter and plus go to the game. So we got to do that. And then plus high school football. I'm so excited that high school football's back. I love high school football, especially here in Bullitt County. Bullitt East is the school that we go represent. Now, after this season, we'll have no kids left on the team from when my wife was in charge of the Mount Washington Colts. So all the players that are seniors right now were, they played on the team my daughter played for.
Yeah.
So we knew we watched these boys grow. So we go and we support because, of course, Lorelai don't play football anymore. She's into charged media and doing all of that with the Quill and Scroll and all of that. So we get to go and we get to, watch the boys play. It's just amazing. I love football, any kind of football. I watched my Ravens lose last night in a thrilling game. It was, dude.
Wow.
It was a Madden football game last night. It was just back and forth, and the Bills.
Who would have thought 80 points, 81 to be exact, but who would have thought 80 points would have been put on the freaking scoreboard last night?
Right, and for the Bills defense to
that second half,
shut up. Oh,
that second half, fourth quarter, the second half of the fourth quarter. Yeah,
right,
dude, unbelievable.
It was like holy cow, and all you can do is shake your head. I mean, literally shake your head. And don't get me wrong, the Ravens defense is tough, but I can tell you they did not stop the Bills offense last night at all in the fourth quarter. And it was just like, holy cow.
Yeah. And those 4,000 people that left at the end of the third, beginning of the fourth, need to turn in their Bill fans cards.
Yes.
Those people that stayed in that stadium are the true fans.
Who goes to a football game and leave early? I'm there until the final whistle.
I do, only because I got to get to another show.
Right, but you're different. If you buy a ticket and you're going because you like, let's say you go up and you stay until the final buzzer, and then you get the chance to go down and maybe talk to the players as they're walking around or whatnot. Even in high school football, we stay until the final buzzer, and then we, congratulate the boys, or if they won, we congratulate. If they didn't, then we talk to them.
Heads up, better luck next week. Give them words of encouragement, because sometimes even in their own household, they don't get it.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about, is supporting your team and staying to the final buzzer. If you go and you leave in third quarter, turn your tickets in. Let somebody else that's going to enjoy those tickets. Let somebody else use those tickets.
Yeah.
Now you were talking.
It's different if it's a weather, right?
Yeah.
If it's an extreme weather thing and it's going to delay a while, and you are a fan that travels a distance, I get it. I get that all day, every day. But if you, like for me, if I was a Cincinnati fan and I had season tickets being 15 minutes away from the stadium and I don't go, or I leave early, come on, man.
Yeah. Now, you were talking about the history, military history, which is something that I love. It's something that I've, when we were in the Marine Corps, we got a chance to sit down with the frozen chosen Marines.
Yeah,
man, that was phenomenal. I'm gonna go ahead and use the word. It was friggin' amazing, and to hear their stories, right? And then here you are now, 20, 30, almost 30 years later. God,
easy.
We're old.
Our guest tonight will tell us we're still pups, but in the grand scheme of the military, when you've been there, 28 years ago is still a decent part of time, especially when you're our age.
Yeah, and here you are going around the country, and you get to see some of America's history with the bases like Leavenworth and stuff like that, and Fort Riley, and see the stuff there. I mean, we have a lot of history here in Kentucky just with Fort Knox and
especially Knox and Campbell. And what I didn't realize that a lot of Army units rotate. Especially back earlier, right? They might have been in Texas, and then they went to Germany for a while, and now they're somewhere else. I didn't know that. But it's just to learn. Just to learn that stuff and see, and then I've spent some time down at Bragg, and I used to play hockey at Bragg, right? On Thursday nights when we were at Lejeune, and then going back down there this past January, and just seeing how much has changed, and still the history that's there, right? You got Pope
Yeah.
Air Force Base that's there, and everything else. But yeah, it's just that learning the history of some of the units, and especially being a Marine, going on an Army base and learning their history, and how they do things, and everything is just it's gives you a different perspective of what we have ingrained into us as Marines, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So tonight's episode is on TikTok as well. That's why you keep seeing me go over and typing over here on TikTok. And big shout out to Lloyd and Lita that's on there. I tolerate you guys. But
They tolerate you.
yeah, they do. That's what Lita said. I tolerate you in big capital letters. Lita's amazing. Unhingedempowerment.com. Go check out her website. She's a female veteran, and she loves supporting organizations that are helping veterans out there. And all of her people are very vetted. I mean, deeply vetted. So go check out unhingedempowerment.com. But tonight's guest wrote the book They're Only Gone If They Are Forgotten, which is about the 82nd Airborne, which we were just talking about Fort Bragg. When we were in the Marine Corps, we did a couple joint operations or joint training with some of the airborne guys, and then they relieved us in Haiti when we were given. And was that 99? Yeah, they relieved
99.
us in 99. So this book took 20 years to complete this book. It's 641 pages of facts. I mean, there's letters that the Vietnam veterans from the 82nd
Pictures.
Airborne.
I love pictures.
Yeah,
If it was written
yeah.
in crayon, it'd be red already.
So this book took 20 years, and it's been approved by the Army, the DOD. I mean, it went through all the bells and whistles, and we're going to let Mr. Steve Zaley. His father served in the 82nd Airborne, and we're going to let him tell the story. So hang on to your hats because we're getting ready to get started. Mr. Steve, how are you, sir?
I'm doing fine, and I really liked some of your comments about you guys saying, well, when you get to be your age, well, boy, let me tell you something. When you get to be my age, and hey, man, 70 years old and jumping out of airplanes is not a bad gig.
Yeah, not at all.
It's really not. But yeah, you had some interesting comments, and I really liked them. And hey, the first thing I'd like to say is thank you for having me on, and big thank you to all your viewers out there who were tuned in to listening to us tonight. And I'm hoping we're going to give them a real good bird's eye view of what we have in this book and what it took to put it together.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Thanks for taking the time to come on. We know that everybody's time is precious, and it's an hour, right? So for you to come spend an hour with Willis and I, we're extremely grateful as well.
When you get to be my age, the one thing you find out is one thing you keep running out of is time.
Yeah.
They don't make enough of it.
Yeah.
But
well, do me a favor and introduce yourself to the world of HomeFront Sitrep, if you don't mind, with TikTok and all the other places that we're at.
Well, for all the folks out there that don't know me, my name is Steve Zaley, and I am the author of this. The camouflage cover is taken from an actual piece of T5 parachute that I have from the Battle of Biasi Ridge in Sicily when they went to bury their own dead. And command stopped them from wrapping the dead paratroopers in parachute after the battle to bury them. We'll talk a little bit about that. The folded American flag and the parachute jump wings with 4 stars were from my father's casket and his jump wings, one for each star, for each operation that he did behind enemy lines by parachute insertion in Sicily, Italy, Normandy, France, Holland, and the ground push into Germany.
Wow.
And, a lot of people, and especially the Vietnam era guys, didn't get any respect when they came home. And God in heaven, if you never lived under the same roof with somebody who went through extreme combat, you have no idea what they live with.
Yeah.
It could be that bad. But anyway, let's not dwell on that part. We're going to move on a little bit and we'll talk about the book. The book did take 20 years to produce. And I had a contract with the United States Army, the 82nd Airborne Division, Provisional Parachute Group, Fort Benning, Georgia, to produce it. And the lead attorney for the United States Army with Office of Heraldry was so impressed with the work, he signed off on the entire book. We had to include a caption and release, a caption on the title page from him, and a release on every combat report, after action report, general order, combat newspaper, cartoon, what they were fed from the Army cookbook, all of it, because everything in that book is still owned by the United States Army.
Mm.
And people say the taxpayers own it. They let me tell you something. You disgrace a unit emblem. It doesn't matter what branch of service. You'll find out how fast you get hit with a lawsuit. But anyway, the book, in the production of this, my father died in 1997, August 14th, I think it was, if I remember, August 9th or 14th. 1998 in October, this began, and it began on circumstances at Fort Bragg where my wife and I went there to see where all these stories started from. We lived in Florida at the time. And we went to the chapel at Fort Bragg where a mass was said for my father after he died. I had a cousin who was an airborne commander, and he set up a mass for him there. And we went to the door to walk in to see it, and it was locked. And a man came to the door dressed in camouflage jumpsuit, asked what we wanted, started telling him the stories of all this. And he said, oh, would you like to come back and do a dissertation to a group of present-day paratroopers in your father's behalf? And we said, yeah. And they wanted to do it. They set the date up. Then they couldn't do it. We were going to do it. Then they called back and we couldn't do it. It went right, and then it got put on hold. And the funny thing was, if you believe in fate, if the dissertation ever took place, this would have never came to be because it would have been over. So there was a lot of things that were just very peculiar that happened with this, and far too much to get into in our conversation tonight. But so that was the beginning of the road. And then I started contacting all these men that my father was with. One guy had an original company roster. And I tracked them because another man that I met said, their service number, the first digit is how they entered service. Were they drafted? Were they enlisted? Were they National Guard activated for the wartime event? And so anyway, the second digit says what part of the country they entered service from. So the internet was starting to get popular, and that's how I started tracking these guys down. And how many times I called and I'd say, is this Mike Klaus? Who was is this the residence of Mike Klaus, who was a paratrooper with the 82nd Airborne Division? And the answer was, hold on a minute. And this guy'd get on the phone, and the ice was broken. And when I told him who I was, I remember your father. And, when it started, the momentum began, and it just kept building and building and building. And these guys, as I was saying to Willis earlier, they were kicked to the curb.
Yeah.
Nobody cared for years when these guys were alive. And all of a sudden, here's somebody that shows up that wants not just their story, but all of the story. I didn't want the shooting, the explosions, the shooting. I wanted the funny times, the good times, the laughter, being out on the town and having a blast, the barroom fights. The The 82nd Airborne Division paratroopers were so bad they had to be separated from the regular Army.
Mm.
The Navy had the shore patrol, the Army had the military police, and then it was the beginning of the shoot patrol, where they had one airborne officer and two paratroopers with accompanying the airborne officer to round these guys up, and hopefully the paratrooper they were trying to round up would at least listen to one of their own. But the situation went on, and I'm just kind of building us a lead in as to where we're going with this. The training was unbelievable. I mean, not like it is today. They were 4 weeks running 5 miles and 7 miles in the morning, and they couldn't have a body weight of over 170 pounds.
Ooh.
When my father went out the door on an actual combat mission behind enemy lines, he weighed over 350. It was all explosives, ammunition, primacord, plastics, composition B, primacord, 6 wraps around the base of a telephone pole, would snap it in half 3 times that much, would launch the pole 20 feet in the air with the wires. It looked like close detonated at 3,200 feet a second. But anyway, the momentum was building with this, and the stories were coming in. I had such an interest in it. I was calling these guys every week, and they were so eager to talk to me. And the only real regret was that this didn't start even earlier, because my father did talk to me about a lot of it. He reminisced it through me.
Right.
So that's where all of this kind of began. But I don't want to just kind of keep rambling on. Are there questions that you guys might have?
Yeah.
So you are, you're living with a paratrooper, right? And I know for me, like, I didn't share all of my experiences with my wife and kids, right? So I'm assuming your dad probably didn't tell you a whole lot of stories up front at the beginning, right? And then when you started talking with all of these paratroopers, and of course, I know this kind of happened after your father passed away, but you're hearing these stories from people that your father served with. Did they correlate with how your father was in as you were growing up? If that makes sense.
There were sometimes correlations in those stories. And most of the things in the book we proved at least twice through 2 different men, or sometimes through 3 different ones. The movement of the company we actually reconstructed. As far as there was the Captain Wall was in the beginning. He was the first captain of headquarters company, 3rd Battalion. And then there was a little bit of an issue that Captain Wall got booted out. And then Robert Kirkwood was brought in lieutenant and promoted up to captain. And then in Sicily, Kirkwood got booted out, and Major Krause went to the Repel Depot to find somebody to run the company. And he walks in and he looks and he says, "This pains my ass greatly, but the only person here available is Captain Wall." So Captain Wall came back. All of this was gone. Nobody remembered it until I started talking with these guys. And then they once, yeah, that's the way it went. So, yeah, and then the other one started to say, yeah, Wall was out because of this situation that happened. I don't want to really get into it at the moment, but the stories did coordinate.
Yeah. How many of the guys were like, "Hey, this guy also served with us. Here's his number," because I still stay in contact with him? Or was it just search after search after search on the internet to find the guys, and then?
Sometimes there was a guy that had 3 or 4 or 5 numbers, and there were 124 original men in the company, and we were actually able to make contact with 90 of the men, the families of the men who previously passed on. And then the hard part came, the families of those that were killed in action.
Yeah.
And so, yes, that did take place. And then there were some of the guys I called and said, I haven't heard from anybody since the war, since we came home. The last time I saw him was Boston, the day we split up and we got our train passes back home to our towns. I haven't heard from it. And then when we did go to cell phones and started conference calling these guys.
Oh, goodness. Yeah.
Oh, sometimes the conversations would start with, I thought you were dead.
Yeah.
And no, I got misdropped in Normandy. I ended up getting drug all the way up to a Stalag camp up in Czechoslovakia. Is where he ended up in a concentration camp, mining coal until they got up one day and all the guards were gone. They were gone. And they were just on their own. They walked out of the camp. It was because the Allies were coming. But anyway, yeah, I think I might have got a little carried away on that part. But
no, it's good because, when I don't know if Willis said it before I came on. Willis and I served together. We met at boot camp.
Yeah.
And, after probably about the 3.5 year mark, so 2000-ish time frame, our paths went two different directions. And I ended up staying in and ended up getting medically retired years later. But because of Facebook, because of the internet, we reconnected almost 20 years later.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I mean, we picked up basically right where we left off 20 years prior. And hey, you remember this? You remember this? So those stories, I mean, those are the stories we talk about. It's not the, hey, do you remember this part in Haiti when we experienced this? It's the, hey, remember when we were in Korea and the army came in, or the air wing we came in and we got kicked out of that bar and Lytle picked me up and said, get out of here. Those are the things that we still talk about. It's not the gore. It's not the mess that we dealt with. It's all those fun times, those funny times, and I've experienced it. Just before I retired, I was doing the Marine Corps rifle and pistol competition, and we were getting the trophies photographed. And I walked in, and the lady that was in charge, she was a master sergeant or master gunny at the time, and she looks at me, she goes, I thought you were dead. I'm like, no, I'm still here. I got blown up, but I'm still here. And it's still those conversations still happen. Even now I go home and they're like, man, we thought you were dead. I'm like, no, just because I got blown up doesn't mean I'm, not here anymore. But yeah, and then I deal a lot with a lot of nonprofits, and then talking with the Gold Star families as well, and running into guys, families that I served with. So those are very solid conversations. And so I can see where you're coming from with that, and, their willingness or unwillingness to share things.
The one thing I got to say is the families of the dead who were wounded in action, died of wounds, killed in action. One of them had contacted me and said, we read your book. That's our uncle.
Wow.
They didn't know their uncle was the first 82nd Airborne Division paratrooper who was killed in action in World War II. And I sent a group of high school students to his grave and had them scrub his grave for Memorial Day and put an American flag and an airborne flag, an 82nd Airborne Division flag over his headstone, and sent the teacher a check to take the kids for a pizza lunch. And I've just gotten to be so close with the families, all of the families nothing will ever take the pain away. I know nothing will ever take the pain away of living with what my father put my mother and our family through, the screams in the middle of the night, every night, walking the halls of the house all night because nobody's standing night watch for fear of being bayoneted to death in his sleep.
Yeah.
But it never goes away. And the night he died, I was with him. And he was reliving the Battle of Biazi Ridge. And for the paratroopers, if you didn't spend time in North Africa and you weren't at the Battle of Biazi Ridge, you didn't have a clue what it was like to be in battle. We dropped 1,700 paratroopers the night of June 9th before the seaborne invasion, which was going to take place on the morning of the 10th on the island of Sicily. The winds kicked up to 35 miles an hour over Sicily. When they went out the doors, the pilots broke formations. They climbed because Sicily has mountains, so they didn't run into the mountain. You know, they didn't have triple laser ref navigation, and they were dead reckoning. So, you know, some of these guys went out the door at 4,000 feet. And it was their longest ride they ever had to the ground. By morning's light, at the rally point, out of 1,700 men, they did a head count. They had 188, 10%. They were told to expect the Italian army, lightweight French-made Renault tanks. They went head-to-head with part of Hermann Göring's Panzer Division with Tigers, the biggest tanks Germany had. 6 hours of intense battle, which was down to hand. They had 44 dead. And they did hold their ground, and they did take out the Tiger.
Wow.
But you know what it did to them. It was the first time my father ever, one, he ever killed somebody. Two, he did it face to face, and it left an impact for a long time.
Oh,
but
yeah.
The you know, going back to the stateside training, that Colonel Gavin was pushing the 505 beyond belief. And Colonel Gavin would stand behind his men. And there wasn't a thing they wouldn't do for Colonel Gavin. When the two chaplains, which was Chaplain Wood and Chaplain Conley, were standing in the back of the room, and Gavin was talking to the 505, and Chaplain Wood said to Chaplain Conley, "I think the old man's going to ask him to jump without parachutes." And Chaplain Conley turned to Chaplain Wood and said, "You know what scares me? I think they'll do it." This was the momentum and the morale that was built under Colonel Gavin. And they weren't just tough in stateside training. They were tough with other units on the street. That's why they eventually had to be separated. The men you saw going ashore in the landing craft on Saving Private Ryan, just as my father-in-law, who was in the first assault wave at 18 years old on Utah Beach, they were paid $21.50 a month. If you could get through the parachute training, you got $50 on top of $21.50, which gave a private that was a paratrooper $71.50 a month. Where you had Captain Miller, he was making $44 a month. You outrank me, but I'm better than you are. They pay me more. So when they would be passing a leg standard infantry officer on the street, there was 1, 2, or 3 paratroopers in a group, and the officers coming at them. They would wait for the officer to salute, and then they would return to respect. And when they were passing, one of them would inadvertently say, "Carry on."
Oh, jeez.
Yes. I mean, that's how bad it got. And then there were the 2 incidents, the town pump and the roadhouse incident, that were so bad. Word of this got back to Eisenhower, who wasn't yet in command, but he was a colonel. And I kind of like the stories that are more realistic than the things that you get out of Hollywood.
Right.
When you end up like with some of the stories, well, the one of them was like Winston Churchill and his secretary. They were always arguing back and forth, back and forth. And she said to him, "How could you drink so much?" And he says, "Practice, my dear, practice." Well, he always used to get on her about the double spacing between words when he wanted single spacing or vice versa. And they were arguing all the time. And she said, "If you were my husband, I would put cyanide in your liquor." He looked at her, he said, "If you were my wife, I'd drink it." But,
So
it's those kind of stories, the stuff that, builds the character and the morale, the stuff behind it that makes a story. Like some of the jokes in the book. Well, go ahead and pull it. It ain't loaded. Well, we all know how that one works. But anyway, the story and the momentum continues, and they were successful in Sicily. And after Sicily, you had Montgomery going up the East Coast, who Patton was racing to get to Messina, and you had Bradley going up the center, and his left flank was open, and he didn't like that. So the 82nd Airborne Division covered it. They ran 150 miles in 6 days on foot to keep his flank closed. When they got to Trapani, they ended up taking the Fabiana Islands, and then the Sicily operation was over, and they were reverted back to North Africa eventually. But anyway, I think I might have got off point a little bit, and I didn't mean to, but
no, you're good. So like I said at the beginning of the show, I love military history in general. And then, as you're flipping through the book, and if you're out there, you can go to 82 airbornebook.com, and you can get the book there, and there's other places you can get it as well. But just flipping through, and like you see pictures from, like this one here, Steve Zaley, which is your father, at the Baltimore hotel pool area. And then Andy makes tightrope walking look easy. And you got all these pictures from way back when that, if somebody didn't record it and bring it to light in a book, then it would be gone and lost forever. And Sam and I, we talk about it all the time. If we don't tell the stories, and if we don't say their names, then they are forgotten. That's something that we preach on here all the time. Because a lot of your World War II, World War I veterans took their stories to the grave with them, right? And a lot of Vietnam vets took their story to the grave. And that's what I love about this book. It's 641 pages of American history that is all facts. And I mean, there's letters that were written home. I'm not going to read the letters. Let's see. Let me get to one of them here.
Poems.
There's poems. There's everything in this book. So
some of the cartoons,
Oh yeah,
from the papers and stuff. Yeah,
and some of them are kind of racy.
Well, but that's how it was back then.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
as far as just to give the viewers out there an idea how bad it was from the paratroopers' perspective. I mean, these guys are in their teens and in their early 20s. My father was in his mid-20s. He was a little bit older, but the paratrooper consensus was, this poem says it all. It was called "There's Blood on the Parachute." And I won't go through the whole thing, but it went, there was blood on the parachute. There was blood on the ground. There were great big puddles. There was nothing but blood all around. Oh, pity the poor jumper, all covered in red. He jumped from a plane and landed on his head. All his bones were broken and scattered around. He was doing a mile a minute when he hit the ground. And it goes on and on. But to give you an idea of the consensus of what, we're going to die.
Yeah.
And, we're going to take a hell of a lot of them with us. But,
Yeah. So I was some people were saying comments, Soldier Girl coffee, which if you haven't had Soldier Girl coffee, I highly recommend it. It's amazing coffee. She says thanks for sharing. And then a U.S. Navy Corpsman medic said that wanted the link to your book. So I just typed it in the chat over here on TikTok and stuff like that.
Well, so in the book, I think it's like page 121, 120, like the 120 era. They have the boxer that was, their mascot that did some paratrooping as well.
He was the only dog. That was Max. He was
Yep.
a 90-pound boxer. He was the only dog that was a qualified paratrooper in World War II. And when Colonel Gavin approved his jump, approved his jumping, he said, parachuting is strictly volunteer. He is not to be thrown out of the airplane. And when the men would go out the door, so did Max.
Oh,
and
man.
The chute riggers used the cargo chute. They sewed a harness for him and rigged him. And he was a celebrity. The whole story's in there. There's even a picture in there of Max and his squeeze with their 6 kids laying on a silk parachute.
Yeah.
You got the picture there, Sam? Let's put you on full screen so we can show that picture.
No, because what was the squeeze's name? Because I had it here a second ago. Oh my Lord, I think I lost it. Oh yeah, Margie Hart sent a message of condolences. But, yeah, no. So there's Max in his uniform there with his. Oh, there goes the bookmarkers.
There you go.
Looking upon the other paratroopers to make sure that they can thoroughly, be inspected and accepted as one of their own.
And for our corpsmen out there, there is an article in there about what the medics did, and it happened. I think it might have been at the Wall River in Holland, and they were trying to save a guy's life. And there was a gammon grenade, white phosphorus, that detonated in his suit pocket while they were trying to keep this guy alive. And the stuff that they did was beyond. I mean, it was an average day, but it was not average circumstances.
Right.
But at that time, those were an average kind of day. And there's a whole section in there about what these guys went through in the gliders and what it was like to go into a landing zone at night with never been there. They never even practiced with full loads. It was that dangerous.
Yeah.
And most of them crashed. There's only 6 left in the world out of the, almost 4,000 that were built. But Normandy, when they were going in there, General Gavin had 30 assassins because Colonel Gavin promoted up to general in Italy, and Colonel Gavin had 30 assassins, and their job was to go in before the Pathfinders, which the Pathfinders were supposed to be the first ones to crack the Atlantic Wall. They weren't. Colonel Gavin's assassins were to go in there. They were to blow radar sites, split up in groups, blow radar sites, and they were to protect the drop zones for the Pathfinders to do their job. He released them. He walked out through the hangar. He stopped. He said, "Is this 3rd Battalion?" And my father was there, Johnny Pankow, Mike Klaus, Mac McIntyre. I could name all these guys. And my father said, "Yes, sir. We're headquarters company, 3rd Battalion." And Gavin looked at them and he said, "Tonight you'll embark upon a mission that our people and the people of the free world have waited for over 4 long years. Assembled is the largest invasion force this world has ever known. You were to spearhead the landing of the invasion of Normandy, France. Your objective is to take and hold at all costs the city of St. Mary Glees, roadblocked the major highway and stopped any and all enemy reinforcements from reaching the beachhead. I cannot begin to tell you how important this assignment will be. This mission will not be an easy one. Good landing, good fighting. And he paused and looked at him, and he said, above all, guys, good luck. This was my father. The night he went into Normandy, blackened his face with lamp black. He had 2 Mark IV anti-tank mines, which they were required to carry with the detonators in them. But he said, this is my 3rd rodeo, and I'm not jumping with the detonators in the mines. So he pulled them out. He had nowhere to put them. He mounted them on his helmet. And all the guys in the sticks started laughing at him. He said, go ahead and laugh. They detonate. I lay there with my legs blowing off. This way, if they detonate, it's over. They were 33 days in combat without relief. They came back and they were the mish drops. The book goes into the prisoner of war camps, the beatings, starvation, and I just on and on. You know, I can't.
Yeah, it's all here. Yeah, it's all here in the book. So
yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, you know, that true living history, right? These are the stories from the guys and the families that got the letters that were there.
Yeah. And
so we got a question here on TikTok. Is the book in digital format, or is it just a hardback?
No, we did have it in digital format, and it was on Red Shelf, which I believe is still available. But nobody wanted the digital book. Everybody wanted the coffee table hard book. So we've really, the digital book is, I think it may be available. They'd have to look.
So Red Shelf, you think it was on Red Shelf?
Red Shelf they're the biggest holder of academic material for colleges. And they also have a book section that you could post books on. And they were really reasonable because we couldn't deal with Amazon. Amazon wanted to, I'm not trying to badmouth them, but they wanted to charge $44 for this book, and we would have made $1.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, in the 20 years it took to produce this, I'll be honest with you, this book costed over $150,000.
Oh, I guarantee
I
it.
couldn't afford it. But hey, you know, there was an interesting story about the Battle of the Bulge. Was a paratrooper named Don Johnson. Him and another paratrooper named Henry Bystrack were holding the line. The temperatures were sub-zero, freezing. And when I was talking to Don, it was Christmas Eve, 2004, 2005, somewhere around there. And he's telling me this, and I'm writing, scribbling notes down. And then the next morning, Christmas Day, I get up and I start reading his notes. And this was Don's recollection of the Battle of the Bulge. And it went something like this. It should have been a silent night, a holy night, but something's gone dreadfully wrong with this fight. At 2 a.m., we were trucked 140 miles in a battle to do a tailgate jump into waist-deep snow white. We're stuck in this frozen icebox from hell. Our Christmas spirit is not so bright. Soldiers dive as the ground explodes in the middle of the night. Sporadic screams of agony are intermixed with the continuous echo of ordnance fired in automatic from my left to my right. Muzzle flashes pierce the darkness as the paratrooper next to me says his prayers. Oh God in heaven, will we see daylight? I look over as he slumps to the ground. The snow turns red. Next to me, his life's been led. My stare of disbelief and sorrow is broken as a tracer whizzes past my head. With no time to mourn and great tenacity of purpose, I return fire instead. Sleep in heavenly peace, my friend. Sleep in heavenly peace. Memories of Christmas in combat, the Ardennes Forest, Belgium, 1944, dedicated to the memory of paratrooper Donald the Duck Johnson, who survived, and Henry Bystrack, who perished in the Battle of the Bulge. The Bystrack family knew nothing of that.
Mm.
His date of death, legal official date of death with the Army, was January 3rd.
Mm.
And the dates of death are wrong in the book. There's a lot of things wrong in the records, and we proved out how and why. And when you understand why, when you read it, you'll understand why these dates of death are not accurate. But it was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal to do this. And I know we're starting to run out on time, but hey, there is just something I would like to bring up at the end, and I hope I didn't like hog the whole interview.
No, you're good.
This is perfect.
But this is something that is in the book. The whole poem is in there. But I wish my father would have read it, or I wish I had it and I would have read it to him to try to see, if he remembered it. And it went, when bugles sound their final notes and bombs explode no more, and we return to what we did before we went to war. The sudden shift of status of the ladder of success has made some worthy gentlemen feel an awful mess. And it goes on with, oh, pity the poor captain, and on, and a colonel, and being clerks and soda jerks again is a mighty cross to bear. And hey, guys, one thing I got to say is that applies to you too.
Mm.
You both are combat experienced. When you go home, hug your kids, hug your wife, tell them you love them. And if you ever have a problem, call me. I've listened to some of the best.
Mm.
I'm always here.
Man, I
Appreciate it.
appreciate that very much.
We can't do enough for our veterans. We can't. And to what they carry and what they live with. And so many of the spouses of these men said to me, since you started calling him, I can't believe how he's changed. And whether it was Mrs. Gray or Mrs. Klaus or Mrs. McIntyre, I'd say, you know what? I know what closet they keep their skeletons in.
Yeah.
And, I never, ever wanted it to end. But when they started going, it was one after the other. But hey, when I jumped Normandy, France, the son of my father's commander, who was Frederick Krauss, we jumped Normandy together.
Wow.
Oops. Let me see if I can get that back up for you real quick. That's me and Fred at the DZ.
That's awesome.
Off the air. And God, he's become such a great friend. But hey, I know we're at the end of our wire, and
man.
You guys
I
me out.
I want to say thank you for coming on and sharing the story behind the book. I love military history, and as you were reading or speaking the words of I just got goosebumps. I mean, history is something that just, man, it gets me. I don't know what it is. I guess I'm a big old history nerd. But thank you for coming on here and taking time and hanging out with us. Ladies, gents, if you're watching this, whether you're watching on TikTok, whether you're watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, go to www.82airbornebook.com. That's 82, the numbers 82, airbornebook.com. And you can order the book there. Where else can they order the book, or where else can they get the book?
You could get the book through all sorts of venues. You could get it at all sorts of museums. But if you go to Amazon, Barnes and Noble, you're going to pay $140 a copy. They're not signed, they're not serialized. I sell them for $69.95 plus shipping, signed by me, serialized, and the guarantee that I've given everybody in 12 countries. If you don't like the book, call me. I'll buy it back. We haven't bought one book back yet. We have nothing but 5-star reviews. And the attorneys that represent me in this, we're going to be sending books and letters to the Hollywood venues, because we're going to be pursuing to sell the rights to it because the
Mm.
82nd needs their day on a big screen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, I want to thank you for me and Gunny both. We want to thank you for coming on and spending this hour with us and telling the story of the 82nd Airborne. We Gunny and I, we've had some run in with modern day 82nd Airborne guys, and I can tell you the guys that we've ran into are not the guys that served back during World War I and World War II and Vietnam. It's a whole different military nowadays, and just to hear the story and the trials and tribulations that they went through, and the pay. I mean, nowadays a private's making what, $1,500-$1,600
Something
every
like that.
2 weeks.
1,700. I don't know.
So it's just crazy that back then there was guys and ladies that volunteered for $25 a day. That right there tells me that they definitely had the servant heart and wanted to serve and protect their country. So that's amazing.
Unbelievable.
But it is about that time, my friend. Me and Sam, we're going to close down the show. We want to thank you again for coming on and hanging out with us.
Thank you, and thank you. Big thank you to all of your listeners and followers.
Awesome, my friend. Well, you have a great night, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, you take care. Stay safe, man.
Yes, sir. You too, buddy.
Oh, blue skies, Steve. Blue skies.
How friggin' cool was that?
Yeah,
Dude.
I mean, just in his recollection of some of the conversations and the poems and everything, and for him to recite it, and dude, I just being around like Woody, right, and hearing his accounts of Iwo Jima and some of the other things that they experienced, or Ernie West, who was a Korean War Medal of Honor recipient from here in Kentucky, and hearing his stuff, those firsthand accounts that these guys and girls are willing to share, right? We've heard it, in the history books, we've read it, we've seen it on TV and some of the documentaries, but to hear these firsthand accounts and see these firsthand accounts from the people that actually lived it, you don't get any better of a source.
Right. Yeah. Firsthand knowledge of a situation that none of us were there, but these guys that are in this book that help put this book together and send in letters, and like this right here is
well, just the family's willingness to send a letter, or speak of their loved one.
So like this letter here, October 4th. I wish it had a year on it, but it doesn't.
Yeah, but it's somewhere 41 to 45 ish time frame.
It's just crazy that there's and then here's this I mean, it's just, man, definitely I highly recommend getting this book, whether you're a non-reader, because I'm more audiobook than I am sitting down, opening a book and reading it. But I love history, so this is probably one of the books that I'm going to take and just glance through and read as I'm going, because there's stuff in here that could teach me something. So
I've got a long flight coming up here the first part of next month. So I think, other than watching a couple of movies, man, this thing's gonna be heavy to carry through the airport.
I was getting ready to say this might not be
confiscate it as a weapon, but that's gonna go on my trip with me, and I'm definitely gonna read.
It might make your carry-on too heavy.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh man, but no, Gunny, I know you're going to be busy coming up the next couple months, and I'm thankful that you get to hang out, and when you do get to hang out, and it's always a pleasure to sit here and banter back and forth with you, and
maybe next Sunday I'll take the laptop. I'll confiscate the laptop from the wife and take it to Jersey with me, and I'll do the podcast from the beach.
Oh, nice. From the beach. Make me all jealous and stuff.
It's going to be cold, man. It's New Jersey.
Right. Well, I don't know. It's supposed to warm up, man. It's I think they're talking about 90s this week here in Kentucky. So you might get 80s, low 80s up there in Jersey.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Who knows? But it is about that time of night, Gunny. This is all you, my friend.
Yeah, you're not alone. You still have worth. You still have value. Don't let the dark days win. And you don't have to be a product of where you grew up and the circumstances that you came up with.
Yeah, definitely. And then I can't say it as eloquently as Gunny, but in the silence of your struggles, remember, though unseen, you are deeply held in the hearts of others. You are not alone. Hey, Carrie on TikTok with the Soldier Girl Coffee. Me and you need to get together so we can get you scheduled for a podcast episode. I've been trying to get you. And then hashtag be someone stranger. This is something we talk about all the time, guys. Look, we as humans, we're more apt to talk to a complete stranger than the ones we love the most. And Steve said it earlier when he reached out to these people, these veterans that served over in World War II over here. They spoke with him and told him things that they never probably told their wives or their children. So hashtag be someone stranger. And what I mean by that is when you go out and about and you see somebody and it looks like they might be having a bad day, go up to them, say, hey, how you doing? And if they give you the red flags, I'm okay, I'm hanging in there, I'm living the dream, ask the next hard question. How are you really doing? But you have to be ready for that conversation. It could be a 5-minute conversation, could be an 8-hour conversation. You just have to be ready for that conversation.
Yeah, and it takes a village. And this was Candace's, and hopefully she's doing well, and hope she can come back on the show here one of these days, once she's able and willing to. But yeah, use your people. Dan and Babs do the cell phone roulette, and pick up your cell phone and just scroll through your contacts and just blindly stop on one and call them. Just see how they're doing. I saw something the other day, and it's why am I always the one making the phone call? Why doesn't anybody reach out to me? Why? Sometimes you give that perception that you're okay, that you're fine, that you're doing good. And that's why people don't reach out. Where on the inside, you're struggling. You're having that struggle fest. So maybe you do have to be the one to reach out just to get something off of your chest. So use that cell phone roulette to check in with somebody you've not talked to in a while.
Definitely. And I'm not. I mean, I'm better now than I used to be, like with reaching out, because I'm under the mentality that I'm struggling with my own personal things that I struggle with on a daily basis, and a lot of times I don't want to put that on other people. So it's asking for help.
Yeah.
But we as veterans, we need to get better about asking for help. So reach out, do the cell phone roulette. I talked about it last night on the show. Open your contacts, scroll through and stop it, and then call whoever it lands on. And if they don't answer, do it again. And it might be somebody that you hadn't talked to in 6 years, but reach out to them. You never know what's going on with that person. They could be down and out, and hearing an old familiar voice from a friend might change their mentality. It might be that handout or the hand up, not hand out, but the hand up that they're looking for, that they need to turn their life around. So
yeah, you just don't know the struggles that people are dealing with, right?
Right.
And if somebody calls me and they just want to unload, I might tell you, dude, I'm not in the right headspace right now. I'd love to talk to you, but I can't put your burden to become my burden as well. And if you're out there and you're seeking help from somebody or a point in the right direction, at least be willing to accept the information that's given to you and try to apply what is being offered to you. If you're the one that keeps reaching out and you don't ever accept the information or apply it or anything else, and it's the same thing over and over again, it doesn't matter who you talk to. They're not
Yeah.
gonna be able to help you. You have to be open to receive that information and be willing to at least try.
Yeah.
You know, find your two-wheel therapy, whatever it is. Is it fishing? Is it hunting? Is it being in the outdoors? Is it skydiving? Is it go-kart racing? Is it just going for a walk and clearing your headspace? You know, whatever works for you. You know, a lot of times you have to follow your passion to find your new purpose. And, you know, if you do that, I guarantee you'll be in a much better place and you'll be happier.
Yeah, definitely. Big shout out to our partners. I don't want to say sponsors. I want to say partners. Reese Across America Radio. You can go to www.reaseacrossamerica.org/radio, or you can download the iHeartRadio Audacity app or TuneIn app. Search the word Reese, and you can find Reese Across America Radio there. Homefront Sitrep is on Thursday nights, 11 p.m. Eastern. Thursday nights, 11 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you go check out Homefront Sitrep on there. This episode here with Mr. Steve Zaley will be this week's episode there. So if you didn't catch it now, you can actually go catch it there later. Big shout out to Heroes Media Group with Adam Bird. Adam Bird is amazing. He's got over 50 plus veteran podcasters on the HMG network, Misfit Nation, the Double S, and there's just a whole plethora of veteran podcasts on there. What's going on, Life Liberty Show? So go check out heroesmediagroup.com. Then we got Military United podcast streams. We got Elite Engraving, which I don't have the shirt or the hat on tonight. I got a different hat on tonight. This is the Black and Black veteran, which I love. I love the black on black. And then you got Valor coins and pins. Man, let me tell you, Brent Casey and Brian Casey, who are the grandsons of Herschel Woody Williams. If you don't know who that is, then we can't be friends. He's the Marines Marine. He is a Medal of Honor recipient. He does have a naval ship named after him. At one time, he was the only living non-Navy personnel to have a ship named after him. Unfortunately, he passed away not too long after the launch, or christening, should I say. But he was able to go christen the ship, and which was an amazing time from what I hear from the people that were there. But Brent and Brian Casey, they have Valor coins and pins. Now, they take ideals that Gunny sends them or whoever sends them. They turn them into challenge coins. When you order coins from them, money goes into the Herschel Woody Williams Foundation, which puts Gold Star family memorials, monuments across the country. And they are amazing works of art because it's
black granite.
Right. It's black granite, but
they have a committee. Yeah, they have a committee that they put together for that area. And usually there's at least one Gold Star family member in the committee that helps, direct and drive. But yeah, dude, they're so amazing. The one on Fort Campbell is really nice. The one here at the State House is good. Hopefully, there gets to be one on the National Mall, like a massive Gold Star, awesome. Memorial monument on the wall. I mean, there's plenty of space. There's no reason for DC not to approve it.
So we had our coin, Homefront Sit Reps Challenge coin. I gave Gunny the idea, and he ran with it and made it better than I had anticipated. Like literally, when I saw it after he sent me the rendering and everything, I was like, bro, that's it. But this coin here, do you want to talk about it, Gunny, or you want me to talk about it?
Yeah, so it's basically our business card, if you will, for Homefront Sit Rep. It is a bottle opener, so it's a non-traditional, anything that's not round. It has the Homefront Sit Rep logo on it. The Eagle Globe and Anchor is raised 3D from the coin, and then Willis's favorite, be somebody stranger hashtag there, just to let everybody know that it's all right to go up and talk to complete strangers. Then on the back side, we have every branch of service official logo. You are not alone at the opening of the bottle opener. And then you've got a 3D raised microphone and headset. And the cool thing about the coin is It's not coming through. It's too blurry.
Yeah. No,
Is
trying to
that
get it.
on air? So the white, we got hashtag we got your 6. The white and the red around the white actually glows in the dark. So the red glows red, the white glows that orange, that yellowish color that is usually in a,
It's more
neon
greenish.
type thing. But
Yeah.
so that glows in the dark to resemble, that neon light that you see on a lot of the radio shows or podcasts or whatever. Mine's outside the door on. Willis usually has his on in the background over there. But yeah, it's Willis gave me a little idea, and then Rich LaMonica is going with the Misfit Nation, is sitting here. Still honored and that they allowed me to assist them with theirs as well.
Heck yeah. So go check out Valor Coins and Pins. If you're in the market for lapel pins, if you want a lapel pin, they do those. If you want challenge coins, they do those as well.
Yeah, they also do finisher medals as well. So usually, we'll just say if the coin costs $6, what they'll do is it's a loop that they put on the top of it. So I think it's an additional $1 or $1.50. But it's your coin or whatever as a finisher medal as well.
Yeah, definitely. So go check out Valor Coins and Pins. And then sameflagsameoath.com. I want to give them a big shout out. Got Your 6 Culture. Matt and Becky Johnson out in Katy, Texas. Small veteran owned t-shirt company. They do hats. They do a lot of co-branded apparel for nonprofits across the country. Homefront Sitrep has a shirt on there. It says Marine It Down. It's written in red crown. It's a word play off of Keep It Simple, Stupid. It's something that we as Marines, we like to dumb things down and keep it simple. So Marine It Down. Order the shirt. It's 20. I forget what it is, the price wise, but order the shirt. We also have a hat through Elite Engraving. I want to give them a big shout out too. They're both all on our website, which is homefrontsitrep.com. Underneath the merch, it links right to their stores. When you order the shirt or the hat, at the end of the year, we're going to get a percentage of all sales. And what we're going to do, we're going to get 2 checks, right? So Gunny and I, we're going to take all these nonprofits that we've had. We're going to put them on a randomized wheel. We're going to spin it. Whoever it lands on gets 1 check. Then we're going to take them off the list. We're going to spin it again. Whoever it lands on gets the 2nd check. So that's so when you order the shirts, make sure you tag Homefront Sitrep in it. That way we can share it out on all of our social media platforms. So definitely do that for us if you don't mind. But it is that time of night, Gunny. We got things to do. I know you got things to do, but like we
I
always
gotta prep for this week, man.
right. But like we always say on Homefront Sitrep, stay safe out there. We got
your 6.
Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this show.
Suggestions and comments are always welcome.
Cannot wait to have another great show with y'all.
Don't forget you can find Homefront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Stay safe out there. I got your 6.